Good morning, Spanish Fork. Thanks again for joining us today on another COVID-19 Facebook Live. We've got the regulars here again with us today. Again, thank you to Mayor Steve Leifson for joining us, Seth Parents, who is the city manager, and myself, Scott Aylett. I'm the public information officer for Spanish Fork City. So again, happy to be here with you guys today and answer some of the questions that you might have regarding this new change from orange to yellow and what that means in regards to city services. Before we jump in really into the questions that we've received, we kind of want to talk about what it means, again, going from orange to yellow. And one of the great resources that we like to share that was prepared by the state, and we talked about this last time we met, was how changing from orange to yellow and subsequently from yellow to green down the road is again like turning a dial. And while there will be some significant changes as we go from color to color, there are some things that stay the same, right? We continue to ask individuals to maintain that 6 feet of distance. But and again, continuing to wear face coverings when you're out in public, when social distancing isn't able to be accomplished. But other things like increasing groups from 20 up to 50, being able to do some additional recreation programming and things of that nature, again, are some great things that we're excited about here at the city. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means for us here at Spanish Fork City. But some great resources are available through the state at coronavirus.utah.gov, where you can learn a little bit more about what it means to go from yellow to orange, orange to yellow, what that means for worship services or maybe entertainment and movie theaters. And I suspect that we'll see some changes over the next couple of days. It sounds like even some religious, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints came out with some announcements today about their worship service. So we certainly expect some additional changes to be coming down the pike here as we make this change. But we're excited to have you with us here today, that we can talk about what it means here at Spanish Fork City to go from orange to yellow and what we might anticipate. So without further ado, I think we'll jump into some of the questions that we've received from you on Facebook and through email. Again, you can always ask us questions about coronavirus and what it means here at Spanish Fork by going to our webpage, which is SpanishFork.org/COVID-19. We have a link on that page where you can send us an email, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can on that. So, Seth and Mayor, the big question that people are probably asking is, what does it mean now on the city level that we're going from orange to yellow? Pete, if you don't mind pulling up that infographic, we shared this on our website. And we've shared it on social media as well, announcing some of the changes that we have made and some of the new openings that went into effect this last weekend in the low risk category, which is yellow. So adult and youth sports programming is beginning again. A lot of those programs were put on hold or postponed, and we'll be starting those up here shortly, and some of those have already actually started. So the baseball and softball fields, those have been closed after 3:30 p.m., but those are again open to the public after 3:30, and we've got staff there that will be able to help monitor and ensure that social distancing practices are being followed. One, I think that's really exciting for especially families with young children are the playgrounds. That was one thing that we heard a lot about from our younger families, was being able to use those playgrounds and kind of the excitement that those playgrounds are now open to the public. And some other ones, the RV park at Canyon View Park, that has been reopened. We are now allowing for pavilion rentals, but not for groups over 50 people, and campgrounds as well. The individual campgrounds, those have been open for a couple of weeks now, but now group campgrounds are open, but again, restricting those to groups of no more than 50 people.
Scott, let me maybe add some clarity to one thing you said. The baseball and softball fields they've been open, right, for the public use, but we now have our teams that have been created and are starting actually to practice. And so the fields you'll see a lot of boys and girls of summer, if you will, in their in their teams now starting to practice. Those kids should be showing up here in the next days. Practice times have been assigned, and coaches should be communicating with families. So those fields, it's going to be neat to see the public be out and using those fields and practicing baseball, and then games will start very, very shortly.
Yeah, it was great to drive down there Saturday morning, and there were teams out there practicing already. So it was awesome. I told Cheryl, I said, this is what I've been waiting for. The sound of kids playing out there, baseball games being practiced, and we should have those games starting here next week, according to the rec department. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been exciting to see. I was even just down at the sports park a few days ago, and it was exciting to see people recreating in the park, and it'll be even more exciting now that we can have teams practicing and playing. A common question that we get a lot is, what about this program? What about my softball league, or what about my boys baseball league? And one resource that we have on our website, and I'll pull this up really fast for our viewers to see. If you go on our homepage, again, we've got this COVID-19 updates. If you go to our COVID-19 page, as you scroll down, one of the links that we have is Parks and Recreation updates. And here we have kind of an ongoing list of all of the programs, and they're color coded so that you can see red is it was either canceled or closed, orange was postponed, and then blue shows kind of what the rescheduled date is. And so if, let's say, you've got your son or daughter in one of our leagues, you can look it up and see, okay, the Pinto team selection, that's happened, coaches meetings on this date. You can see that the pickleball ladder league is going to begin on June 1st. And so this is kind of your one-stop shop. If you've got a question about a particular program through our recreation department, you can refer to this. You can certainly give our recreation office a call, 801-804-4600, and get some of those updates. But I know that our staff have been reaching out to parents and participants in these programs to get them up to speed as to when their program will be up and running again. So again, that's on our website, SpanishFork.org/COVID-19. In addition to those openings that have happened, we've made some modifications and adjusted our hours at the library. The library was open from 2 to 4 on Monday through Friday. They are now open 1 to 6 p.m. We are now allowing up to 50 people within the library, and our staff is currently working on a plan to reopen up the children's section, which is the basement level of the library, up to the public again. So we anticipate that we'll have some changes with that here in the coming weeks, but certainly that is an area of great interest for our patrons to be able to take their kids down and select a couple books from the children's collection.
Yeah, let me add some color here. The library opened up a couple of weeks ago when we went to Orange, just the upstairs, for 2 hours a day. And we were eager to have that available and interested to see how many people would come to the library. And just that short window where there wasn't any, the library still isn't a place that you can go and hang out. There's no chair to sit in, there's no tables and such. It's really just a go get books experience at the moment. And in just the 2-hour blocks of time that we were having, we were regularly seeing more than 100 people, and some days 150 people in that 2-hour window. Of course, they're cycling through. It's a big space, and so they're spread out, and the library staff is doing a really good job of keeping things spread out and clean. But it was interesting for us to see that desire and demand, if you will. And the children's library has done a really good job of adapting. They have a tremendous summer program every year. Residents that know what I'm talking about know that the summer reading program is very important to the success of children reading and learning. And they're doing, usually every year, the month of May is very important for signups, but where kids can't come to the library, it's been difficult. And so due to all of the changes, they have programmed out what May would look like, and our staff has been out in the park most weeks, different costumes, different themes, inviting kids to come and see different characters of the books and such that they love, but also to sign up for these reading programs. And because that schedule has been put out there, the children's library staff is set to that, and they can't make all of these changes at once. And so the children's library is opening a little slower than some might say, hey, we're yellow, get that open. But that part of that reason is because the staff's already been pre-scheduled to do these themed activities to encourage signups out in the park. So if you haven't come out, I know they're doing one tomorrow and then a few other times next week too. Their calendar is on their website where you can interact with different characters, of course, with safe social distancing.
Yeah.
That children's library will open up soon as well.
Yeah, so those signups for the summer reading program, you can sign up online, but also you can come down, like Seth mentioned, to the park Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tomorrow is Harry Potter Day. I can't remember what day today is, but they have different characters, like Seth mentioned, but you can come to the park, get a prize, and get signed up for the summer reading program. We kind of skipped over this when we were talking about recreation programming, but Seth and Mayor, one of the things that needs to be followed here in phase yellow is symptom checking for recreation program participants. What might a resident or a parent of a participant expect for, in terms of symptom checking before I bring my son or daughter down to a softball game or a baseball game? Are we going to be checking temperatures? You know, what might we expect with that?
So our recreation staff is working with all of the coaches and doing different coaches meetings. Probably have done all of them by now, but they've given all of the coaches different questions that they should ask that we were given from the state. Things like, does your child have a fever? Do they have a cough or a runny nose? Have they been around anybody that has COVID-19? Things like that. And those questions, I think, are going to be asked and should be asked before every practice and game. And there is a lot put on the parent. We are not capable of checking temperatures before every practice and every game. The city, the recreation programs don't have thermometers to do that at all the different venues and all the different places that we have. And so there's a lot of responsibility that is put on the parent to do that. And the coaches will ask those questions, and I hope that coach will share each of those with every kid, every parent on their team. But I guess I'd say, and Mayor, you fill in here, that once they are cleared to play, gosh, we're so excited for that to happen.
Yeah. Just I know everybody's excited to have that happen, and here it is. It's got to go back onto the parents and the kids. I know kids want to get out there and play, but if the kid is sick, please don't expose all the rest of the kids, because then it shuts everything down and we have to wait again. So, you know, I know as much as you want your kid to be out there playing, if he's sick, please stay home for a few more days and get him well. That way we can have the whole summer and play and everybody will be great. It's awesome. We want to have those kids out there participating in those team sports, and we want everybody to be safe. And as parents and citizens, that's where the big, what you'd say, it's on us to make sure that happens, because the city's can't do it. Like Seth said, they're not capable of checking everybody's temperature and doing those things. You know, we need to take ownership on our own part here and make that happen with our kids so we can have a great summer.
Mayor, you and I have talked a little bit about this, and I've talked to some of the other city council members. Seth, you've been asked the same question. I think this is the one that's floating out there that everyone really wants to know. What's happening with Fiesta Days? Will we have Fiesta Days? What might it look like? Mayor, do you want to talk a little bit about some of our plans for Fiesta Days?
You betcha. From day one, I've said that we are going to have Fiesta Days. I've stuck to my guns, and because once this thing's all over, we need to celebrate. Our town loves to celebrate. We need to have something to celebrate after being cooped up all this time. So I've stuck to my guns. People say, well, maybe we ought to cancel it. And I said, no, we're going to have it. It might look different than what we've had, depending on where we're at. But my posture's always been, we're going to have it unless someone tells me I can't. And that's been our posture. And so I think we can do it safely and keep going forward. I'm hoping things are going to change here in the future. And maybe Seth can talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, how do we, Seth, when there's a little bit of uncertainty, right, where we might be in July, how do we plan for that?
So the Fiesta Days it's a really difficult thing to plan, right? We actually start planning Fiesta Days in September, August, right after the Fiesta Days is over. We do kind of a debrief in August of everything that happened, and then by September, we are looking to the next year. And so the Fiesta Days Committee and the Fiesta Days Rodeo Committee both have had a significant curveball thrown in. As the mayor said, and I can attest, he has been true to, we're going to have Fiesta Days. But I think what he said there is super important. It may not be the same. And so they're really, at this moment, our Fiesta Days Committee for the main celebration, the Fiesta Days Committee is going down two roads. One road is if we're in yellow, what does a yellow Fiesta Days look like? And the other road is green, if we are to green. And hopefully everybody understands when I say those colors. I hope we're all kind of attuned with the state's color codes, but we're currently in yellow. And if we are still in yellow, we cannot get gathering permits from the county. They will not issue those. And so there are some significant restrictions on gathering in community settings, such as movies in the park or the fireworks activities, parades, children's tent. If you go to our children's tent, our Children's Day rather, the children's parade, and then there at City Park, there, we have to have a mass gathering permit. If we are in yellow, they won't give those, so we can't have those. At least we can't have those as they usually are. And so that's what the mayor's been saying. We will do something, but it will have to change. And what exactly that will look like, that's what the Fiesta Days Committee's kind of cooking up. They want to have a celebration, but they have to follow those rules. That's if we're in yellow. If we're in green, then things change, and we'll have the ability to do a lot more, and it'll look a lot more normal, if you will. The rodeo can really only happen if we are in green. And the rodeo is a challenge for us because there is some significant money that has to be spent in order to make that rodeo happen. And that money has to be spent well in advance of the 24th of July. And so we have to have a clear path to green in order to commit to spending the first part of June, some $60,000 or $70,000. It would be a tragedy in these difficult economic times for us to gamble away $60,000 or $70,000 if we guess wrong. So we are studying and in communication with the state and doing our best to know the changes and how things are going. But one thing I guess I could say, and the mayor's been a very big champion of this, we have to be responsible in how we make these decisions. And by that I mean, let's not waste the money guessing and gambling, but let's also make the decision as late as we possibly can. Let's wait. And we have identified a couple of critical dates for, I think, just about every event and activity of Fiesta Days. And if we get to that critical date and commitments have to be made, money has to be spent, that activity might get canceled. But if we have a clear path to green, then I think a lot of things open up and we'll be able to move forward positively. So the next couple of weeks will tell for sure. But as of right now, everything is continuing forward that we're planning for the Fiesta Days. And we really are taking it a couple of weeks at a time.
Great. Another question that we had is someone noticing on our infographic that the pool and the splash pad won't be opening until June 6th. I guess I owe all of Facebook donuts. My phone just went off, but
oh yes, baby.
Anyway, So as an individual noticed that on our infographic, we said that the pool and the splash pad won't be opening up until June 6th. Seth, can you give us maybe a little bit of context as to why June 6th? Why are they not open today now that we're already in yellow?
Yeah, these aren't just random dates. They're very determined and specific. The pool, we have to have training and preparation for all of the staff, have to have them hired. And so when the change came at us, I think it was last week, right on Thursday, that we were going to yellow on Saturday. I think as far as Utah County, we were kind of anticipating that we could go yellow maybe this next Friday, or for sure the Friday after that. So we have done some things to kind of plan for that eventual timetable. The swimming pool staff, they're all mostly hired, but none of them really have been trained. And so that training process is now starting. We have some limitations, right, on how they can get trained because of still being in yellow. And then maybe most importantly, at the swimming pool and the splash pad, both have to have an inspection from the Utah County Health Department. That's an annual thing. Both the swimming pool and the splash pad, before they can be opened, have to be the final maintenance work has to be done, and then all of the different maintenance and safety things that the county health department checks and approves have to be done. And that process takes a couple of weeks. We typically have those done by about May 15th every year, so that it's not holding us up. But right now, because that yellow came last Saturday really, and all of the county, if you're opening up pools, they have to get into the queue with the county to get those inspections. That's why that June 6th date is there. It's possible that they might open up a little bit sooner, and that will be only if our staff is trained and ready to go, and if the inspection happens.
I for one am excited. I know a lot of our residents are excited to have those open up, and I think it's important to remember that June 6th really isn't that much later than it might typically open. Usually, like you said, Seth, they open up around May 15th. Is kind of the earliest, and so it being a few weeks after that isn't that much of a delay, but we certainly are excited and looking forward to having those open for our residents to utilize throughout the summertime. Let's see, there's been some chatter about some updates regarding solicitors licenses. A couple weeks ago, we kind of put a hold on issuing new solicitors licenses just out of concern for individuals knocking doors and wanting to maintain that 6-foot social distancing. So we suspended issuing all new licenses, and we asked all those who currently had a license to respectfully refrain from knocking doors while we were in the high and the moderate risk. Now that we've moved to low risk or yellow, we've started issuing solicitors licenses again, and notified those current holders that they can again go about soliciting within the city. Seth, the mayor, do you guys have any thoughts about how that's handled, why they're allowed in the first place?
Well, it was interesting here 2 weeks ago. I had a solicitor come to my place, and I told him, I said, you need to have a solicitor's permit. And he said, how do I get one? And I told him the process. You went to the city office to get one. They told them they weren't issuing any at that time, which surprised me because most of the guys don't do it. They just ignore you. So, kudos to that guy for coming in, trying to do the proper thing. They're out trying to make a living also, whether we like it or not. And if they're following the rules and being respectful, they provide a service to the city and the product that they're selling, certain ones, if it's alarm systems or whatever. Not all of them are, but so as long as they're following the proper procedures, I have no problem with that.
And this is an interesting one because every time we post something about solicitors, there's always a lot of strong feedback, right, from the residents saying, most of the time saying they don't want them, they don't like them. And like the mayor said, this is a part of the economy. But probably most importantly, that this has nothing to do with red, yellow, and orange, green, but this is actually something that is protected by the, I guess the best way to say it is the Constitution. They have through the Supreme Court rulings that say that they have the right to do that, that they can solicit door to door. There are rules that can be set up, but we cannot outright prohibit soliciting from doors, that door to door soliciting. And so we've set up those rules, like if you put up a no solicitor sign, they shouldn't be there, and different things like that. But we cannot outright prohibit them. And that, I think, surprises a lot of people. But anybody is welcome to do exactly like the mayor said. Do you have a solicitor's license? Ask to see it. If they don't have one, they can report them. Or they can just simply say, I'm not interested, and send them away. But we have to allow them by law.
All right. So I think it's a good reminder for our residents to remember that there are certainly some things that you can do if you are concerned about solicitors coming to your home. Again, like Mayor and Seth both mentioned, ask to see their license, and if they don't have one, refer them to the city to get a solicitor's license. I've had a number knock on my door in the last few weeks, and I've been surprised that all of them, whether or not they have a license, they typically will knock on the door and then they'll step back, and they're usually on the walkway up to my house. They're not standing right next to the door, which I think is a good, sign of respect for kind of the circumstances that we currently live in. So again, like Mayor and Seth both mentioned, whether or not you like kind of the soliciting, it's something that is allowed, but there are some things that we can do as residents if we have concerns with that. So let's see if we have any other questions coming in here on Facebook. One that came in yesterday was asking about the fire station and All Abilities Park. A lot of excitement about those facilities coming in. Mayor and Seth, do we have an update on their construction? Are we on schedule on those two big projects that will be happening here in town?
Well, we did a little walkthrough last week, and it's pretty exciting to see both those, the fire station and the All Ability Park. They're both going to be some outstanding facilities and an asset to Spanish Fork. Fire station's right on target. Everything's going well. Talking to their superintendent, they're moving right along. Looks like they're going to meet their date. I think it's towards the end of July. And as we went through the All Abilities Park, that was the first question I asked, is there any things that can delay this park because of this? And they said there might be a playground equipment that might be delayed because of this, because they can't get it on time, but it shouldn't be too far past the date that we're supposed to be open. So I was pleasantly surprised of the progress. What a great addition this is going to be to our city and to our citizens. This can be pretty awesome.
Yeah, just to add, that All Abilities Park is going to be just amazing. That mountain is so cool. So cool. The splash pad's going to be just such a wonderful attraction. The parking lot's really big. It'll be great. I'd expect both of these to have some kind of an opening, probably the middle of August. The All Abilities Park should be done sooner than that, but because of what the mayor just said, if there's a couple of components missing, we'll probably delay opening it up to the public to give the grass some time to set, as well as get these last parts in. So I'd be looking for these to be open sometime, both of them sometime in that mid-August. Wouldn't you say, Mayor?
I think so. What I've seen, there shouldn't be any problem with that happening.
Yeah, I just a shout out to the contractors for both of those. They've really done a good job. And Mayor, you're in that kind of work. You have a sense of what it takes to get all those subs working in concert. It was amazing to see the different trades and the different machines and equipment and specific things happening at the All Abilities Park. And you might remember what the superintendent there on the job site said when we asked, is this normal to have this many pieces moving? And he was like, no, this is a once in a lifetime project with the timeline that we put. It was pretty neat to see all of those parts, moving in harmony, and they've just done a great job.
They have, and it's like I tell people that a superintendent or general contractor, they're like a conductor. They're conducting a symphony of all these people being there, and there's all sorts of moving parts, and it's kind of neat. I got all excited when I walked on because that's the world I live in, and so you can see it being everybody. You think everybody's on top of everybody, but they know what they're supposed to be doing, and like I said, contractors are doing a great job on this. I had nothing but praises for the work they're doing and the way they're getting this project move along. So it's great.
Yeah, Wesley's done a great job on both of those projects.
Yep.
For our residents at home, you can, we have cameras set up at both sites, so you can go get a live feed of what's going on. If you haven't driven by, certainly drive by and see the construction that's going on, but you can also see it from home on our website. If you go SpanishFork.org/AAP, standing for All Abilities Park, there's a live feed there, as well as if you're an SFCN cable subscriber, go to channel 16 and you can see them there simultaneously. So really excited about those two projects that are coming up. Here, before we wrap up, one program that we've kind of not mentioned a whole lot about is our Youth Arts Festival, which is very popular during the month of June. Typically, it's a 2-week program held over at the high school with a variety of different arts classes for our kids to go participate in. But because of social distancing, they've canceled the in-person classes, but what they've done, and if you go to their website, SpanishFork.org/YAF, F is in festival, they're going to have some daily arts challenges for your kids to participate in. They can share their pictures or videos of the projects that they're working on and enter in to win some prizes. So while they can't come in person and participate in the Youth Arts Festival like we have in the past, certainly encourage our youth to participate in this program this summer, and they'll explore their creative side through the arts. So big shout out and thanks to our Arts Council for putting this on every year. So that being said, we don't have any other questions that have been coming in. Mayor, Seth, any last thoughts or comments you'd like to share with the residents before we sign off?
Sure. I just want to tell everybody, all the citizens, thank you. Thank you for the way you've handled this virus, by the way you've conducted yourself, because of you, this is moving along quick. And we're able to change from orange to yellow, and I'm hoping from yellow to green very quickly. And you'll know that we're in green because this beard that I've got right here, as soon as we go green, it's going off. So if anybody doesn't know when we're in green, if you see me clean shaving, you'll know that we're to green. This has been my protest to the virus, and so I'll be glad to get rid of it.
I don't know. You look really sharp. I had a beard for a little while, and I didn't look as sharp as you do.
Well, hey.
You may want to have a conversation with Mrs. Mayor and see what, that maybe there's some give there. She might be like, no, that beard is sharp.
There you go. We'll see. But once again, thank you for everybody doing their part during this time.
And I don't really have anything other than what the mayor said. Just the public's been fantastic. Certainly some have been frustrated with changes or with things being closed here and there. And we just appreciate the patience. We're doing our very best to take what we're given, the instructions and guidance from the state, and implement it here on a local level to keep everyone as safe as possible. And the public's been fantastic. Great.
Well, thank you both for your time today. Again, thanks to Pete back at the station for being on the technical side of getting us up and running. Again, thanks to SF17 for that.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I totally have to interrupt you because Mayor, what are we doing tonight at 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, we got city council meeting going on. So we're all excited. And we're going to have it live together. We're going to be down at the High Chaparral, social distancing, but we'll all be meeting together.
Yeah, so I think we've been very successful in having virtual meetings, kind of like what we're doing right here. But at 6 o'clock tonight, we will be in the High Chaparral building of the fairgrounds. And the way it's set up with social distancing and depending on the makeup of the public that may come, there could be, about 40 people in there safely spaced apart. And sad to say, Mayor, that's more people than we would typically have any council meeting, right?
It's true.
So we feel like that room can, of course, hold what we would typically have in our council chambers. So we won't have virtual council meetings anymore. If you would like to participate in that council meeting, you need to come to the High Chaparral, not the city office, there at the fairgrounds for tonight's city council meeting.
You can still watch, obviously, it'll still be streamed on YouTube, Facebook, as well as on SF17. But if you'd like to participate in the meeting through public comment, then you certainly need to be there in person. So thank you for mentioning that. That's something worth noting for this evening. So again, thank you everyone for participating again with us today. We would look forward to doing another one of these when we move to green. So again, thank you for your patience and your support as we kind of work through all this together. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And we look forward to talking with you guys all again down the road when we hit green. So thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ha ha ha!